Labor Day is now behind us, and a lot of eyes now on the midterms. Yes, we're in the home stretch before November's elections. And over the long weekend, both President Biden and former President Trump made appearances in Pennsylvania, one of a number of key battleground states with an important Senate race up for grabs. And let's turn to Washington now. And ABC News political director Rick Klein, good friend of our show here as always. Always good to see you. And okay, we're talking about an election and we're talking about Pennsylvania. We shouldn't be surprised, but there's a reason. This is one of many places you really got your eyes on.
Yeah, TJ, write that down. The state, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania. It is going to be a very big deal. It's remarkable how many different storylines come through. We could learn who controls the Senate. We can learn a lot about who controls the future of the mechanisms of elections as well. You've got a white-hot Senate race featuring Dr. Oz against the Democrat John Fetterman. As you mentioned, Joe Biden was just in the state for the third time in a week just yesterday. President Trump was just there on Saturday night. Also on the radar screen there is the gubernatorial race, because you have a Trump loyalist who denies the legitimacy of the last election running against a Democrat who says, just like Biden, democracy's on the ballot. The other big shift that we've seen, TJ, in the last couple of weeks is the change in the landscape around abortion rights. That Dobbs ruling, it upended a lot of expectations around this political season. We are now looking at a much different campaign in Pennsylvania and a whole range of states as a result of that. Democrats saying they are more motivated than ever.
And we just talked about President Biden out there campaigning. Well, I guess a few months ago, maybe everybody wasn't itching to have him out there on the campaign trail. But now what we got? Gas prices are lower. We got the Inflation Reduction Act that has been passed. Its approval ratings have ticked up. So are Democrats out there happy to see him campaigning for him?
Some yes, some no, and some maybe. It's interesting because he's in a place right now, an approval rating in the low 40s. That's not great, but it's better than it was. And it might be that puts some races that might have been lost for the Democrats back on the table. Democrats know it's an uphill battle in a president's first midterm. At best, maybe the president might be a net neutral in a lot of races. There's an interesting trend we're starting to see, TJ, where some Democrats are saying when he comes to the state, yeah, I'm going to be alongside him, but I'm going to tell him how important it is to do X, Y, or Z. Not just to boost the president or to be tied to his political fortunes, but to try to make a point that drives a little bit of a different storyline, that it's not just about boosting the president and saying you're running on the Democratic banner. It's also about saying, look, I am going to make sure that the needs of the citizens of my state are met by the president.
All right, Rick, control of Congress. Let's start with the House here. What are the chances for Republicans?
Look, Republicans have to only win 5 seats to flip control of the House. Historically, that should be a slam dunk. And there's really nothing that's emerged that says otherwise. But the question now is how big the margin might be, and 2 Democrats have at least an outside chance. And
again, as we sit here, 2 months out, we have a 50-50 Senate. Things can change. But at this moment, how are things looking in the Senate?
Yeah, Democrats have a slight edge in the battle for the Senate, according to the forecasters, including our friends over at 538. And here's why. You've got about 10 seats that are going to determine everything. In a 50-50 Senate, every one of those matters. 5 of them controlled by Democrats, 5 by Republicans. The Republicans have fewer incumbents. They also have a whole range of candidates who have never run for office before and whose candidacies might be problematic. Dr. Oz in Pennsylvania, Herschel Walker in Georgia, J.D. Vance in Ohio, Blake Masters in Arizona. None of those men have ever run for public office before. Many of them are wealthy, but they're also having trouble raising money. We've seen concerns in Republican circles about what Mitch McConnell calls, quote unquote, candidate quality.
And Rick, last thing here, some candidates are described as election denier candidate, da-da-da-da, or Trump-backed, da-da-da-da. So former President Trump is still playing a role. Tell us what impact he is expected to have now in these midterms.
Look, Republicans know they can't win without Donald Trump, but they may not win with Donald Trump either. It is a double-edged sword, and it continues to be. You see him at that rally over the weekend. He's out there firing up a base of voters that the Senate candidates in Pennsylvania and elsewhere desperately need. But he had long, meandering journeys back into conspiracy theories around 2020. He's responding to the news around the raid at Mar-a-Lago. He's even making unfounded accusations about a Democratic Senate candidate that forces a different storyline into the mix. So Donald Trump will continue to cut both ways, but bottom line, he is going to be a lot of places over the next couple of weeks.
Well, we hope you'll be here with us as one of the places. We know you're a busy man. We always appreciate your time.
Only place to be.
All right.
Thank you, TJ.
Always good to have you again, our ABC News political director, Rick Klein. Thank you so much.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.